Hello, welcome to the final whistle. I'm Kenzie Benali.
And I'm Steve Forbes.
It finishes 0-0 here at St Mary's Stadium, and we're going to welcome back Dean Hammond and Adam Leach now to talk through that game. I think it's fair to say that wasn't necessarily a thriller, Adam. What did you make of that performance?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. It wasn't a thriller. I think most people did well to stay awake for quite a lot of that. It wasn't not a classic. 2 in a row like that, which is very unusual for Saints, given how exciting they've been, especially since the restart and then into this season. They've been very exciting, and then it's just dried up a little bit for them. It's just not quite happening at the moment in the final third. Still good players in there, still some decent play, but there's just a little spark maybe missing for them at the moment, and that's kind of what's costing them. I know those are the fine margins when you play in the Premier League, which is a league full of good teams, competitive players, and quality as well. You just need that little extra something, and Saints have had it in abundance this season, but have kind of run out of it a little bit now. They're just in a slightly difficult moment. There's positives to take. You could say 3 clean sheets now. That's great. There's also 3 games without scoring, which is not great. So just in that slight odd position where they're just beginning to slide a little from where they were, which is not entirely unexpected, to be fair. But on the positive side, they're also not getting beat week in, week out either. So it's kind of a bit of a mixed bag, I think, for Ralph at the moment. But I think he'd be grateful to kind of have finished the festive period, really, because of the break they've got before Liverpool now, and actually have a little bit of time to kind of get the players to feel a bit fresher again and to sort of reassess and be able to go again. And at least, as I said, the big positive is it's still a point. They weren't beaten. There's a clean sheet. There are some good things to take out of it into Liverpool.
Yeah, there certainly are positives. There are always positives to take. Dean, do you think that's a fair analysis from Adam, that perhaps there is just a bit of a spark missing?
Yeah, I think it is that. I think it's especially today, a little bit of a mental fatigue. There'll be a physical fatigue as well because of the quick turnaround. But there wasn't that mental sharpness, that adventurous play potentially from the players today, and that's understandable. I wouldn't say it was negative at all. It was just a little bit conservative. There was times when potentially the players could have or would have played football forward a little bit quicker with 1 or 2 touch, but they were taking 3 or 4 touches. It was slowing it down. But the positives are it's another clean sheet, like Adam said. It's another point to the tally. It wasn't the most exciting performance, but you have to give a little bit credit to West Ham. Defensively, they were very, very good. They will be happy with the point. You know, they lined up as a back 3, but it was a back 5 really. So they defended well. And it was difficult for Southampton to break down, but the possession stats will be good. The players look comfortable on the ball. They tried a few things that just didn't quite happen tonight, and you can understand that. They looked a little bit tired and a little bit flat. But it's a point, another clean sheet, and like Adam said, it's a few extra days rest now. Recover, recuperate, get that freshness back, get a few smiles back on the faces in training ground, and then go into the Liverpool game.
Yeah, we were slightly surprised to see Danny Ings in the starting lineup today. Dean, how do you think he got on?
Yeah, he did okay, Danny. You could see that he was lacking a match sharpness. He's obviously physically fit, his conditioning's okay, but that match sharpness, he's not played consistently now for a few weeks. He's come in, got injured again, gone out, recovered again, come back in today. I must admit, the offside goal, that showed his absolute quality when he took that extra touch, went in between 2 players, kind of lifted it over a player, and then a fantastic finish. That was Danny Ings at his best. Obviously, it was offside, but he did look a little bit off pace. He was trying to force things at times. He looked a little bit frustrated when he didn't get the ball into his feet, or it didn't come to him quick enough. He couldn't get half a yard to get a shot, but he did okay. And that will help him getting 90 minutes under his belt again, got a little bit of rest now going into the Liverpool game. So we need Danny Ings back at his best, at his sharpest, because he's like I say, he's the talisman for the team. But that would have helped him today. But yeah, it won't be his most memorable performance, but I must admit the goal he scored was fantastic.
Adam, we started off by seeing Danny alongside Shay Adams, and then of course it switched to Danny alongside Shane Long. How did both of those combinations work for you today?
Well, Shea really struggled today. That's probably the flattest performance we've seen from him all season, I would say. I think he was just tired, to be honest. He just looked a bit out of gas today. It could also have been that he got kicked in the head in the first 5 minutes, of course. But he just looked flat. Just wasn't like him at all today. And you're going to get that. There's a lot of games coming at the moment. He's carrying a lot of burden. He's a big physical guy as well. That means he's strong, but it also means, sometimes when they get a bit more worn down, it's a bit more obvious as well. And I think that was probably the case with him today. And I think Ralph was right to try and make the switch. He might arguably have even made it a little bit earlier. But Shane came on, and Shane did what sort of Shane does really, but it just probably wasn't the thing that was going to unlock West Ham today. I understood why Shane came on, but I did wonder whether there was an argument for an Obafemi today. Just that extra pace, that extra bit of unpredictability and spark that he brings you. And I think Redmond being out as well was a bit of a blow today, actually, because I think you would really have loved to have chucked him on late on in that game into that attacking mix. Because I thought Theo played really well today. Actually, I thought he was good, a bright spark for Saints, but the front guys, they kind of all struggled to some extent. And when you saw West Ham at the end, obviously West Ham had been, as Dean rightly said, credit to them. They came with a game plan and they executed it pretty well, and they were very tight. And then at the end, they were able to throw on Bowen, Antonio, Benrahma, that sort of extra quality. Yes, it didn't get them a goal, but obviously they looked the more likely in that period of time to get a goal, as whereas Saints kind of struggled to be able to match that from the bench. And that kind of was the difference in those moments, really. And I just think Shea just needs a little bit of a break, whether he just needs a few days and he's fine for Liverpool, or he needs a bit more of an extended break. You would hope that Saints could get him through to Liverpool. He could be fresh enough for Liverpool to play, and then he can have a bit of a break, because he doesn't need to play in the FA Cup game. They've got almost 2 weeks until they play Leicester then. So it's an ideal time for guys like him to have a break. And I'm sure Ralph and the team will be looking at that this week to ensure that guys like him who were flagging a bit today get the rest they need to be fit enough to have that Liverpool game before they can have a proper break.
Yeah, Alex McCarthy was rarely tested today, albeit did make a great save towards the end of the game. Dean, does that indicate an all-round good defensive performance from the team?
Yeah, the team looked defensively strong today. I mean, West Ham weren't the most expansive team. They didn't put Southampton under too much pressure, but they defended set pieces well. And when they were called upon, they defended well as a unit. Not only the back four, but the midfield players as well. The two central midfielders protected the back four well. And they protected the team with having good possession of the ball. So, they kept the ball for long periods of time, moved it around the pitch so West Ham couldn't attack Southampton. And the save by Alex McCarthy was fantastic. Really, really good save. Wasn't tested much today. Didn't have a lot to do. So his concentration levels were excellent. When he was called upon, he kept his team in the game. And that's the standard he's playing at the moment. So, he's playing very, very well. It's an important part of the team. And it was a solid performance by Southampton. It wasn't the most thrilling game, but if you can't win it, don't lose the game. And unfortunately, at the end, they almost lost it if it wasn't for Alex. So a point gained. Disappointing not to get the 3 points and finish the year on a high, but defensively looked good. Another clean sheet. The fullbacks covered round when they needed to, which is important. And they look solid as a unit.
Yeah, actually, Dean, someone at home here agrees with you. We've got a comment here from Quinoa on Facebook, and they've said the point is better than nothing. Let's take a look at what else is being said on our social channels then. Sion's got in touch on Facebook. They've said good possession of the ball, but passing was too slow and lacked creativity. Team looking a little bit tired overall. So again, echoing the thoughts of Adam and Dean there. Joshua, hello to you. He says we're lacking depth in the squad currently. Need to get something in January, even if it's just a loan. And then Peter said, tough match. West Ham played a low block against us and we didn't have the answer. And Andy has said, we were tight at the back, but it would have been nice to be a little bit more threatening. But again, as we say, it's still a point, Steve.
It is still a point, and it's 2 clean sheets in a row, Adam. That's only 3 goals conceded in the 6 games in December. That's got to be a positive, right?
Yeah, it's a big positive for Saints, and it is that mentality of, well, if you can't win a game, better to get a draw than to lose it. And also, I guess these two back to back, when you look at them, the 2-0 they've just had, they were two games without Vestergaard. A lot of people said, would Saints struggle without Vestergaard, with Stevens coming in, and we spoke before the game about Stevens and what a big time this is for him, and ultimately he can go away and say that he was part of that team that kept 2 clean sheets there. And you can't really ask any more of your centre halves than to be in teams that are keeping clean sheets. And on Stevens in particular, I mean, he did his best to try and play that Vestergaard role. We saw several times that Saints kind of dropping back to try and pull West Ham out of sitting so deep at times. Probably certainly in the first half, in the second part of the first half, trying to pull West Ham out and then hit them with those diagonal balls like Vestergaard does so well, from sort of left to right. And Stevens was trying to play those, trying to get them in towards Walker Peters and Walcott, who were more of a threat down the right than Saints offered down the left. So credit to him as well, and to the team. I mean, a clean sheet is still a good thing. And as Dean said, yeah, okay, West Ham, they weren't exactly the most expansive, but they've still got quality, and it's still a Premier League game. They're still a Premier League team. Keeping a clean sheet is not a straightforward thing to do in the Premier League. You don't see that many of them, really. So yeah, credit to them for that, and it is a positive to take forward. And again, if you can't win, don't lose.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. Now, Dean, offensively, if we were kind of shining a spotlight on it a little bit and you had to pinpoint it to something, what's been missing for you lately?
I think just that added spark. And one thing, probably considering it, is there's been a few changes within the team due to injuries, suspensions, maybe form. When the team was really flying and on all cylinders, it was the same players each week. They were familiar playing with each other. The relationships were building, and they understood each other very well. So that could be a reason. I think today, I mentioned it before, it was mental fatigue. So that extra sharpness where you're seeing pictures before you receive the ball, you can play one touch instead of having 2 or 3. So it speeds the game up. There was a little bit of hesitation. You're having that extra look. You're not quite trusting yourself when you're playing at your best, and the game's flowing for you as a player. You kind of trust your instincts. A player's there. You've already looked. You don't have a second look, so you don't hesitate. And I think there was a little bit of delay in passes at times. So, and Adam mentioned it, I think Redmond coming on today would have been a big help, because he commits people. He's really good in tight areas where he can play 1-2s and then he shifts and goes again. And Gineppo, if I'm honest, he's doing okay for the team. But it's for a flair player, you can't just do okay. I think he's just lacking that little bit of explosive power where he gets a player one-on-one and he can get half a yard and really get away from someone. I don't see that in his game at the moment. And obviously, Danny being out injured, he's not quite up to it. So I think there's a few things where the combinations are not quite flowing at the moment. They tried it in the second half a couple of times when the ball was centrally. It would go into Danny. He tried to play it round the corner to Shea. Shea tried to give it back. It was kind of too clustered in the middle of the pitch. So credit to West Ham and how they defended, but I think it's just that mental fatigue where there wasn't that adventurous play and that quick play to just open up West Ham's defence.
Adam, Dean mentioned Musa Gineppo there. He got another start in the team today. A flair player, but pretty much extinguished today.
Yeah, it's difficult with Musa because I don't want to be too hard on him. I feel like I'm sort of singling him out a little bit pre-match and now as well, and to an extent, because he's working hard, and you can't knock him for that. There's no lack of effort for him, which is what you often criticise flair players for. You often say they don't work hard enough, they don't pull their weight for the team. So therefore, when they're not creating something, you feel like you're carrying them. Actually, he's not doing that. Conversely, his problem is maybe the opposite. That he's so keen, he's so eager, he's being so well drilled to be part of the team, to be part of the press, to cover defensively, that actually I wonder if it's taking a little bit away from his game at the moment in terms of his natural attacking game. Maybe it's not, but it kind of feels a little bit like that, because I don't understand why otherwise he's so stunted because we know he's got that pace. We know he's got an explosive first few yards. We know he's got some ability. We know his end product is a little bit hit and miss still, but he's exciting. And we're not seeing that from him at the moment. We're seeing a guy who's going out and trying hard, but putting in workman-like performances. And to be frank, I don't really see the point of him being in the team if that's what he offers, because there are other people who could probably do that better. But the point of him being in the team is because of the sort of flair and the excitement factor, but he's just not quite delivering it. And as the guy who didn't start the last game, he was the fresh legs. He was the one who really you felt had to be the impetus in making those runs, but he just couldn't do it today. And like I said, I just don't want to be too harsh because he is really working hard. But I wonder if it's one where Ralph and the team need to just kind of get an arm around him a little bit and try and declutter his mind almost, because he's trying and working and trying so hard for the team that it's just taking away that attacking ability at the moment. And I think Saints, to get the most out of him, have to try and free him up a little bit more to be a bit more expressive and accept the fact that sometimes things are going to go wrong. But in a game like today, you would have loved to have had him try and try a bit more to be the player that could have unlocked that and actually got you a goal.
Well, attention now shifts to the next job at hand, which is, of course, our clash against Liverpool. We spoke early on in the show about how important that 6-day rest is going to be for Shea. But, Dean, how important is it for the whole team?
Yeah, I think it's really important. It's been a busy year. It's been a busy festive period, just for the players, the manager, the club, just to take 5 minutes, to be honest, just to kind of change training a little bit, analyse a game, have a real think about, okay, what have we not been doing lately that we have been doing all season, because the team's been fantastic. It's been really, really exciting. What's changed? What's been different? Give a few players to have extra recovery, some players to get some extra training in. When you're having games in short periods of time, you don't really do them bits in training that potentially players like doing. For instance, Danny Ings won't have been able to do in his finishing sessions. The strikers won't have been able to do extra shooting because the manager been like, no, off the training pitch, we need you sharp for the game. So to get that into the training again is good, because repetition and consistency in football is everything. So it would just be nice to have some downtime, maybe give the players a couple of days off, maybe give them some recovery sessions instead of training. And I think just try and get that sharpness back, because there's not much wrong. Defensively, it's good. We're picking up points still. We're doing well in the Premier League. No game is a given. No, doesn't matter where the opposition are in the league. So just take that 5 minutes, reassess, appreciate there's been a really, really good start to the season, and then start the new year in the manner that they continue to go on.
Adam, Liverpool are top of the table, but it could be argued that they've blown hot and cold this season. What are your early thoughts ahead of that game?
Well, I mean, Liverpool this season, you'd rather play this season's Liverpool than last season's Liverpool. But this season's Liverpool are still seriously good. So it's sort of slim pickings in a way. But like, if you're being positive, then yeah, they have obviously slipped up a few times already. They are definitely more vulnerable than they were last season, but they're still chocked full of top-notch players. I mean, they've got some it's just stating the bleeding obvious, but they've got some just world-class talent there that can blow teams away. So I think from Saints' point of view, they need to focus on those positives. They need to concentrate on the fact they've kept a clean sheet 2 games in a row here, and that they've got a chance to try and shut out the best of the best, really, in Liverpool at the moment. But it realistically, it is still going to be a hard game. I hope, again, and I'm sure they will, because Ralph has done this consistently, will be positive in the game. I'm sure they'll adapt a little bit for Liverpool. I'm sure that they will try and make sure they're a bit more solid, but that they keep that kind of shape, that attacking flair going. Yes, they might sacrifice Gineppo for a Stuart Armstrong, for example, just to shore up that front line a bit. But Saints have got a chance. They go into every game this season with a chance because they're a really good team. Yes, they're stalling a little at the moment compared to how good they were, but they're still doing well. They're still collecting points, keeping clean sheets, and there's no reason for them to fear playing Liverpool. They can give them a run for their money, and in the Premier League, if you can give a team a run for your money, then you're in it, and you never quite know. And Saints have the quality, especially with Ings up front, that they can get a goal. And as long as you've got that in your locker, you're going to be a danger to any team, even a team as good as Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely. Dean, what are your early thoughts on Liverpool? Do you think we've got enough to take all 3 points from them?
100%. The club and the players have definitely got enough to beat Liverpool, but they are playing probably the best team in the league, the best team in Europe. Defensively, they're not quite as strong due to their injuries, so they will give you opportunities, and we have the firepower up front that can take them opportunities in Danny Ings and Shay Adams and Theo Walcott. And Liverpool, in attacking areas, will give you a bit more space because they are adventurous. They will make the pitch very, very big when they have possession of the ball. So there will be opportunities when the ball's turned over, when possession's won, to attack them quickly. But the good thing going into this game is that we've kept 2 clean sheets in a row. And to beat Liverpool, you're going to have to defend well, potentially keep a clean sheet. McCarthy's going to have a good game as well, like last season when we beat Manchester City. So it's going to be a tough game. It really is. But I think it'll be one of the players will look forward to that. You want to play the best. You want to test yourself against the best players in the world, in the league. So the players will be excited for that. And it could be the perfect game to come back to start the year off and think, okay, let's see where we really are. Let's measure how good we really are against the best team in the league.
That would be a great start to 2021, wouldn't it? Dean, Adam, thank you very much for joining us again tonight. A 0-0 draw here at St Mary's, but still a well-earned point in the Premier League. We'll be back for that game against Liverpool on Monday, the 4th of January. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff, so a 6:45 show. Have a great week, and we'll see you then.